Written by CappyZedd. Ever hear the old saying, when hell is full, the dead will walk the earth? Well, hell filled up about 10 years ago, and since then it's been a tremendous pain in the ass. I welcome the next candidate, a mousy-looking kid, probably fresh out of college. He looks around awkwardly before sitting in front of my desk as I slide in behind it. So, why do you want to work here? I ask.
Well, I'm looking to broaden my horizons, and this seems like a company on the rise, and...
I hold up a hand. Skip the horse shit. Why do you want to work here? He shrugs.
You're offering 10% more than other places.
I nod. Yeah, that's because of Frank. Your resume has what we need. If you can deal with Frank, you've got the job. His eyes brighten for a moment, until his brain catches up.
Frank?
Maybe I should explain. Ghosts exist. We know that now, because everyone who's died in the last 10 years and was meant to go down below ended up stuck on Earth. Guess the underworld was all full up. Considering how we've behaved, I can't say I'm surprised. But it's not like the movies. Ghosts can't actually do jack shit. Nearly see-through, totally silent. They just drift around the world in a never-ending cycle of whatever their personal hell was on Earth. Some people can ignore them, but even after all these years, still gives me the creeps. Frank died a month ago. Car accident. Turns out this office was his personal hell. Ever since, his ghost has been sitting at his desk, typing through the keys, staring into a blank monitor. Doesn't even break for lunch.
Can't you move his chair?
The young candidate asked. First thing we tried, he just hangs in the air like it's still there.
So what do I do?
It was my turn to shrug. Just sit through him and carry on as normal. Try not to think about it too much.
Couldn't I sit somewhere else?
I shook my head. All the other cubicles are full. Office space is a premium these days. We're not the only ones dealing with this shit, you know. That's why we're offering extra. He sighed.
Well, I guess I could give it a try.
That's the spirit, I say with a trace of sarcasm. Pardon the pun. He sighs, and he rises to leave.
Why is everything like this anyway?
I'm not sure if he's speaking to me, but I answer anyway. Ever hear the old saying, when hell is full, the dead will walk the earth? Well, hell filled up about 10 years ago, and since then, it's been a tremendous pain in the ass. I welcome the next candidate, a mousy-looking kid, probably fresh out of college. He looks around awkwardly before sitting in front of my desk as I slide in behind it. The second interview, written by Budget Round 3720.
It was the most important interview of my life. I breezed through the first one, but I read online that the second is typically the make or break one. I'd spent countless hours researching, watched YouTube videos, meditated, practiced, and practiced again and again. I knew that I had to ace this thing. Failure was not an option. Despite the rigorous preparation and Oscar-worthy motivational mirror speeches, I couldn't predict how my nerves and anxiety would react when the real questions rolled in. Why did this thing have to be in person? Why not set up a Zoom call? After what seemed like an eternity, it was finally time to commence. I was greeted by a man and a woman. But where was Jim, the guy I had interviewed with the first time? I could feel my anxiety creeping up. I wasn't prepared for this kind of change. I'd built up a good rapport with Jim. Not these two. Was any of the information relayed? Did Jim put in a good word for me already? Was I building from scratch? My mind was beginning to race. Before we sat down, I timidly extended my arm out for a handshake. Shit. We're in COVID times. Maybe I shouldn't have. Or maybe we're past COVID times? My nerves were so shot that I couldn't even function properly. Luckily, we engaged in some small talk to ease my nerves, and I felt a sudden surge of confidence that I had leading up to this day. I was laser focused on each question, and incredibly, I had already rehearsed every inquiry they put forth my way. I was already planning out my future and taking a victory lap in my head when something outside caught my attention. Suddenly, I felt my gaze drifting over the heads of my interviewers and out the window. Something large had caught my eye. It was a vulture. We usually don't see them around these parts, and its presence immediately made me feel a bit uneasy. I tried to remain sharp for the questions, but I felt entranced by this vulture. Then suddenly, another appeared, and another. Within minutes, a sea of these creatures flooded the grounds outside. I was completely frazzled. I felt myself slipping on every question. I broke out in a sweat. By the conclusion of the interview, I wasn't even pretending to pay attention to the two in front of me. I felt the blood drain from my face. Clearly, my appearance and demeanor alerted them, because in one swift motion they both turned around and glared spellbound out my window. They simultaneously fiddled for their handcuffs and tried to eke out a word as they watched my wife and daughter's severed limbs swing from countless beaks. Before they could turn around, I quickly unloaded 2 fatal shots. "I hope you're hungry," I whispered to the feathered masses as I dragged 2 more meals out to my backyard.